Hi guys, how are you doing? Senior Gaming here, and in today's episode I'm bringing you Idle Mafia and we're gonna discuss talents. So thank you very much for a comment which suggested to put up this video. I'm more than happy to cover it, despite I don't believe it's gonna be an easy subject. And the reason for it is just because the game is constantly evolving. We've got new updates, we've got patch notes, we've got new content of the game. We just had recently Awakening, which completely changed the game. So what I exactly mean by that what I'm gonna cover today, it might not necessarily be the case tomorrow. But definitely what I want to encourage you, if you're unsure, drop me a comment below this video and I'll be more than happy to advise what I think are the best talents for your capos. As mainly the talents of your capos will depend on where you're gonna place your capo within your team. So if you got a one team selection today, but then you need to move your particular capo into a different setup, there might be a different talents required. So there are definitely two basic principles about how you should set up your talents, and you should go with them by default. And then there is a lot of different capos that you'll be playing around, and I'll show you exactly how to recognize that. But as mentioned earlier, if you're still unsure, drop me a comment and I'll be happy to help out. Okay, so the first thing, which is a definite, it's we've got two different setups. We've got a damage and we've got buff. So a lot of capos you'll be able to cover with one setup and then adjust to your team. So what I mean by that, if we actually go and hit a Chio, so Chio, it's one of the capos which got a damage skill. And every single capo which has damage skill, you should always focus on maximizing this damage. So obviously we go into talent, interested in a combat talent, we're gonna be fully interested in fight power, which means we want to maximize that damage output. And as you see, I will be scrolling down and I've got some of the legendary, some of the epic and some of the rare. And that's the aim you want to go. Don't focus only on legendary ones, because it doesn't really matter. Obviously, if you got all legendary, it's good, but what you aim in with your talents always is to make sure you hit that additional bonus. So if you got a Chio and you think I want to hit as hard as possible, I'll go a 5 legendary fight power, 3 legendary critical hit and 2 legendary accuracy. That's fine, but having that bonus and having more epic and rare will still outperform your other setup. So you always try to go and fill your talent set with only one talent at a time. Okay, obviously if you start in new capo or you do not have DNA, then mix it as much as you can to maximize what you can actually achieve. But once you got more and more talents, do not focus only on legendary. Hit that one talent with despite what grade you have. So that's a bit of advice number one. So then coming back, as mentioned here, obviously we've got that damage. So pretty much capos like Naginata, Gianluca, Chio for example, you want to always go with a fight power. And now a secondary type of the capos you'll be usually aiming with another skill by default is gonna be a buff. So as you see, currently we've got two skills which are completely relevant to production, and Izumi got only one skill which is buff. So whichever capo got only one skill and it's buff, you always go for a combat talent support. Yeah, so we want to actually even further increase this buff given by this capo, and from a capo selection we're gonna talk here about Izumi, Caesar and Vanessa, Miranda in some cases, and for example Gigi. So these are the capos who actually got that only one skill when it comes to be boosted. And then as I mentioned earlier, there will be a lot of different variation, and you will have to craft your strategy. So I'll give you 2 examples and I show you what it means. And I don't want to make this video too long, that's why I said if you're unsure, because we've got obviously so many different capos, to cover all of them, I'll be talking here for hours. So for example, if we go into Ava. So Ava, we all pretty much know that Ava is very good in your team where she supports dodge. So therefore, some of the capos you will link up with Ava in the same team will also go for a dodge. And this is just purely to that one magic skill. As mentioned earlier, Izumi, for example, got only one skill buff. So despite Ava got also buff, there is also a secondary skill which completely outperformed this buff. So we're talking here about when a friendly Capo dodges, the Capo perform a counter attack. So therefore, a lot of Capos alongside Ava should aim for a dodge, because every single time we dodge, we counter attack. So this skill is very, very powerful. And also, obviously, we're talking here about high chance of dodge. So when it comes to Ava, there is no brainer. You will go for a dodge talent. And now, for example, the second one will be a Omega, which I'm just currently upgrading, so I do not have any talents on him yet. But again, we're gonna talk here about buff being a primary skill, but there is a secondary skill, again, which completely outperformed that buff. And as you see, we've got a chance actually of resurrecting or reviving one dead teammate just by sacrificing our own HP. So the strategy here is very simple. We want to maximize HP on Omega, because he will consume his own HP and resurrect the other Capos. And then again, in a team selection, you might have additional Capos which are healing, which means therefore, you know, you've probably been in some fights with Omega where you constantly see that he just keeps resurrecting Capos, and it's very hard to beat this selection. So therefore, as I mentioned, you need to be very clever about the skills. You know, some of the skills will be unlocked with the new costumes. So you know that this is where the strategy will also change. But we need to be reactive and seeing which skills are better. But as mentioned again, we're talking here tens and tens of Capos. If you're unsure, drop me a comment and I'll be more than happy to help you out. And then lastly, what I want to mention, for example, let's go back to Omega once again. So I know currently this is a selection I want to go with a HP, but I know the buff it's here as well. So this might be one of the options where I want to collect HP, as I mentioned earlier, but I'll also will be stacking up a support skill, because I don't know if this skill not gonna be updated at some point and will actually outperform, or a revive might be nerfed. You never know. So you want to prepare already, because there might be a selection where all of a sudden you want to change all your talent set into buff, and you're gonna have your support skills ready. So you always think a little bit outside of box, keep stacking up your legendary in your vault, and whenever there is a need of adjusting, then you're obviously ready to do it. Okay then guys, so not to make it, as mentioned, few hours a video long, let's just stick with this main principle. You know, we've got damage setup, we've got buff setup, and certain other areas when it comes to talent will have to be dependent fully on these unique skills. And I'm more than happy to obviously support you throughout this journey. Thank you very much for watching guys, I hope you found this useful, and as always, I'll see you next time.